here in downtown Fredericton for this edition of the Basement Tapes. Welcome to the Playhouse. I'm Tammy Murray.
And I'm Liz Dale.
Today's top stories are, we'll take a look at Heritage Days in Fredericton.
Jack Layton was in town.
And we check out the fun at Winterfest.
You can't know the future unless you know the past, say Northside residents celebrating the province's Heritage Week. This year, Fredericton has much to celebrate. It's 225 years old and proud to be Canada's cultural capital. Damira Davlatrova was there.
It was a railroad station in early 40s, but now it's a part of history layout. It was in 1995 when the trains last blew the whistle in Fredericton. That's why for Paul Bourgois, it's a special day. He left early morning to Kinsman Center on north side of Fredericton to set up the self-made railroad model. He is ready to share his work with community as a part of Heritage Week dedicated to transportation.
Railroads in New Brunswick were very important because, when you go back in time, that was the only means of transportation. There was a station in every little town, and even when there wasn't a town, there was a station.
At the fair, visitors found more than transportation, but the celebration of history and culture of Fredericton. This year, Fredericton is 225 years old.
This is only the third year of Northside Heritage Day held as a part of New Brunswick Heritage Week. But the number of people gathered today shows that the community is interested in their history and the heritage.
For Mark Milner, professor of War and Society Study at UNB, it's time to connect with community and let them tell the story of today.
The Greg Center at UNB runs a project called the New Brunswick Military Heritage Project, which deals with the local military history of the province of New Brunswick. And so we've published a series of books. So far we're up to 12. We're very interested in connecting with people who may have stories, diaries, letters, records. Some people wrote memoirs that were never published.
When you think home, it's a trail you remember. It's the sound of river you hear. It might be the bridge you cross going school. Andrew Holland says the bridges in Fredericton, in its own way, create a sense of belonging.
People in the province feel a sense of belonging with their wooden structures. We have 63 covered bridges in the province of New Brunswick. At one point we had over 400.
Ernest McFadden is the organizer of the event. He's passionate about his history and culture.
History has a habit of repeating itself. You know that history is something that we talk about or we study about, but yet when we look at what's going on today, it's not going on the same as it has been going on, but it's just in another form.
But for local people, it's an opportunity to know yourself.
Well, I think it's very important to know that where you've come from, what your family's traditions are. You can't know the future unless you can understand the past.
Because sometimes it's better to look back to realize that today is a history of tomorrow. This is Damira Davlatrova, reporting for Stu Journals in Fredericton.
Like the Motown classic demands, Jack Layton hit the road, and he wound up in Fredericton on Monday night. The federal NDP leader spoke to a sea of eager faces at the Wu Center Auditorium on the UNB campus. Layton told the crowd his plan for fixing the country's economic situation. He suggested the budget money should go to building low-income housing across the country. Layton said low-income housing will be the best way to give unemployed Canadians jobs. He also said these unemployed citizens are being ignored by the government on Parliament Hill and in this budget.
I think it's time that the people that are being left behind ended up with their voices being heard in Ottawa, and we ended up with policies that are looking after them and putting food on the table for their families.
Layton also touched on his goals for a national child care program and addressed the issue of student loans in New Brunswick. After his speech, Layton took audience questions and suggestions on ways to improve the economy. He met with audience members and personally answered questions that didn't get addressed inside the auditorium.
Right now, Israel is forming a new government. Its leaders are asking what effect the government will have on the prospects for peace talk. And the same question is being asked here in Canada.
There's no easy answer because both sides have been victimized for so long, but now that the Israelis have power, they're pushing back just they're pushing back too strong. There doesn't seem to be any middle ground for anybody.
They should come to a commitment that both the countries agree with, and Israel should probably help or find some aid towards Palestine, and they should finish this up.
By negotiation. That is the best way of ending the conflict.
I think the best way is not by brute force, but rather have a dialogue, and considerations should be made from both sides.
Students at St. Thomas University took a break from their studies last week to get outside and play. They participated in something called Winterfest, a kind of winter Olympics at the university. Teams competed to win a prize of dinner and a movie. Megan Walker has more.
Many people associate February with the winter blahs. The short days and cold weather can really get people down. It is also a stressful time for students, thanks to midterms and projects. The St. Thomas University Residence Life team put on Winterfest last week to raise students' spirits. Students competed in events like snowshoe races and snowball accuracy contests. Kelly Hogg is one of the organizers of Winterfest. She says events like this one are important to take students' minds off their studies.
February is a pretty stressful time for students, so it's good even just to get a break and relax, bring them out. As well, it's a great way to bring the student community together. I know last night we had a coffee house, and it was just so amazing seeing some of the talent that some of the students have.
Students from the St. Thomas University residences were invited to participate in events which were scheduled throughout the week. The week ended with a ski trip to Crab Mountain. Yannick Roy Richard competed in Winterfest. He thinks it's important for the university to hold events like this.
Because it promotes university lifestyle, having fun, and it gets people out, gets them exercise.
While Winterfest was a good idea, participation was very low. There were only 2 teams that signed up to compete. This may have been due to the fact that many of the events were held during class time. For Stu Journalism, I'm Megan Walker.